Well, hello everybody. Thanks again for showing up to this week's weekly webinar, Best Practices and Tips for Using Hubdoc. I'm your host, Matt, and I will be swinging you through the product today. I'd like to remind everyone to please ask questions. I will be swinging you through the nuts and bolts of Hubdoc and best practices for managing client accounts. But at the end of the day, we are here for you, and if you have a question in your mind, chances are someone's asked it before, and I'd be more than happy to help answer that for you. So without further ado, I'm going to start swinging through the product, and as we move along, I will try to not only highlight things you might not know about, but also go over the basics. But I tend to go a little bit deeper into the basics than you might have previously seen on a Hubdoc demo. Perfect. Just give me 2 seconds here, everybody. Hey everyone, so sorry about that. Seems like everything that can go wrong is going wrong today. I think I've ironed out all of the major technical difficulties, and we'll get back into the webinar. Awesome. So, coming into Hubdoc, the first thing that jumps off your page really kind of comes to mind is that we are like a cloud-based automated filing cabinet, right? And I'm going to start with just the basic folder structure and how you can alter and amend your folders, because this will not only allow you, but allow you to help assist your clients in perhaps creating folder workflows that make more sense for their business. Now, we automate creation of folders based on two things. Anything that are automatically fetched get filed under bills and statements by bank or supplier name, account number, and then further down would be document type. Anything that is uploaded gets filed under the uploads folder based on supplier name. So that's just how we create automation around filing documents for you. But obviously you can change and amend that. So the first thing I'll do is create a new folder. So we can click this new folder button here if you're clicked on a folder, or I can also click like the master folder and click this drop down. So I'm going to create a new master folder. I'm going to call this master folder telephone and internet. Now, once I am happy with the name, make sure you click enter or return, or else that won't save. We won't save that folder unless you click enter, and you'll be pretty frustrated because it'll keep disappearing. So make sure you click enter or return on your computer to save that newly created folder. Okay, perfect. So the first thing I can do once I've created this new master folder is I could say, you know what, I'd actually rather one of my folders to be a subfolder to that. Telstra, it doesn't really make sense under bills and statements. I'd rather it be a subfolder to telephone and internet. So you can see I clicked and held and dragged Telstra. I can now drag this folder somewhere else. So what I'm going to do is drag it under telephone and internet. And once I let go of it, it's now a subfolder to telephone and internet. So Telstra bills that are fetched in the future will still go into this folder, but they're now under a different subfolder. So as easy as that, I drag and drop a folder, and it goes where I'd like it to. Now, you might also say, you know what? I would rather these Telstra bills go directly into that telephone and internet folder. I don't really need the subfolder. I might want all of my telco bills, regardless of the supplier, going directly into telephone and internet. So I can actually do that. In the Manage Accounts tab, scroll down to the Telstra configuration settings, and once I open under Telstra and the configure accounts, I can actually edit the document locations. As you can see now, obviously it's in bills and statements, and the folder is Telstra. But if I clicked edit and select telephone and internet, just make sure I click save at the bottom here, all new Telstra bills will then get fetched and filed into the telephone and internet folder, right? Allowing you to determine where documents end up when they get fetched and filed, or extracted rather, in Hubdoc. Now, the last kind of prong of this that I'll show you is that you can actually easily move documents from folder to folder, not just drag folders around. So for instance, imagine these documents here. Each of these stubs has actually document files. Same exact functionality as you'd have on your computer. You can actually drag and drop files different places. So if I click one document and drag, as you can see, I'm now dragging one document file into different folders. But if I press shift, click again, I can actually drag all 15 documents into the telephone and internet folder. So I actually did that in a matter of moments. I grabbed 15 documents, I dragged and dropped them over into telephone and internet. Not only can you do that, if you're trying to bulk delete documents, I could actually drag and drop them into the trash. If you're trying to bulk, tag documents, a tag documents would be grouping documents, that you didn't want in the same master folder based on a certain job, based on a business trip your customer is doing, a particular employee. You could actually drag and drop all those files into a particular folder. We'll call them John's Receipts. And as we'll see here, immediately those documents get added to the John's Receipts tagged folder. So kind of easy ways to play around with your folder structure and move documents from one place to another. Now, I showed you on the automated side with regards to Telstra, but that same functionality exists on the manual side. So as we transition from automated accounts over to manual accounts, obviously these are the accounts that are manually uploaded to Hubdoc. As we scroll down, we'll see that my Denton's invoices is actually our lawyer in Toronto, Canada. I've changed the document location from a folder under uploads based on supplier name to just like a legal master folder. I want all of my legal documents going into legal, so I've changed that. And when Hubdoc extracts Denton's as a supplier name, as we'll see here, they get filed in the legal folder automatically. So certainly, there might be use in that. As mentioned at the beginning, we do automate the filing for you based on bills and statements, anything that's fetched under there, based on supplier name, account number. Further under account number would be document type if there were multiple document types. And then anything that's uploaded, it gets filed under uploads based on supplier name. Now we're going to transition into our automated accounts, because I think that this is really where a ton of Hubdoc's value is derived from. It's kind of our differentiator in this market of platforms that can automatically fetch and file documents. So as many of you know, we have the ability to automatically fetch recurring bills and statements from banks and online suppliers. We actually have over 230 connections servicing the Australian market already. And when we connect, just to probably retread over treading ground, if you put in your client number or password, obviously your clients can do this on your behalf. You know what? We had an issue with the connection there, but we fetch and file documents automatically. So we fetch everything historically. Now, the idea being, if there were an error like this, like there was an issue with the connection, there's a couple different resources you have to solve it. So first and foremost, I can just click update accounts to see if there was some slight funniness involved in the login process. So as you can imagine, even you accessing web pages, or when I log into my Facebook account, or any type of online account that I'm logging into, there can be the odd funniness that happens when a page doesn't load, right? And that could be for no other, not my fault, no other reason than just the randomness of web pages and a random small error that could take place. So when you click update accounts, you actually kind of refresh and rerun the connection. And so I actually did that. And Hubdoc should be, as it is, fetching and filing those new documents. And so once again, clicking update accounts beside the connection as your kind of first ditch effort to try to refresh the connection and fetch and file those documents is definitely the best place to begin. So once again, beside the automated connection, just click update accounts. That refreshes and reruns the connection. Now, kind of point number 2 in terms of supporting these connections, if you try to rerun it a few times, you're still receiving the same error. Now, obviously, certain messages won't necessarily be an error. They'll say no electronic statements enabled on your account, incorrect credentials, please answer this personal verification question, things like that. Those are kind of standardized things that you can solve yourself. But if it's giving you an answer like Hubdoc is having problems communicating with your such and such account, we're working to resolve the issue. All you have to do is email us at support@hubdoc.com.au. Email us, tell us which accounts is experiencing issues, which client account, what they're experiencing issues with, and we're happy to look into that for you. You'll be pleasantly surprised at our speed of response and our ability to really get to the bottom and solve problems quite quickly. So in a world where you are having to chase down clients for documents every month, with Hubdoc, ideally you don't have to do that at all. The difference being, if there is an issue with a connection, your first ask should not be to your client. It should be to Hubdoc, because we want to eliminate that workflow from your client relationship. If you have to contact us 5% of the time that you would have been having to contact the client, we think that is an easy situation, right? We develop a rapport with you. We develop trust that we can solve and act and really fix these connections so that you can get your documents immediately. So if there is something funny that happens, please don't hesitate to call us or email us at support@hubdoc.com.au. We are quite quick to react. We do manage, fails on a large scale of all the large connections in market, but Just as there can be funniness on a unique login, sometimes a specific account can deal with pages and things that other accounts don't deal with. So in that instance, we have to react and respond to specific issues as they arise. In any case, just to let you know, we do pride ourselves on our support, so feel free to give us a call or email us. So that's sort of the idea of supporting these connections. Now, what happens when we've fetched from a number of accounts, but we're starting to pull in documents that you have no need for? So a couple different things can be done. Flip over to hide accounts. You might say, oh, geez, these are actually personal accounts. So I'm going to toggle these over to stop fetching, meaning Hubdoc is never allowed to fetch these documents again as long as stop fetching is enabled. Once that's closed, all I have to do is delete those sub accounts. I'm just going to delete this sub account as well as this one. And not only will Hubdoc not fetch them going forward, but the historical documents won't have to be seen any longer. Once again, that's hide accounts, stop fetching, then delete the folders. You don't have to see those documents ever again. So, as we transition the demo here, I've kind of discussed, fetching documents from suppliers. I will be touching on, uploading documents as well. But I will be getting into more kind of bookkeeping workflows and how to use Hubdoc as a bookkeeping automation tool. Now, it's my assertion that you can use Hubdoc just as a document collector and aggregator, right? We believe that having all of your clients' key financial source documents in one place not only makes your client audit proof, but already greatly speeds up the compliance process, right? If source documents are the foundation of compliance, if you have one secure hub to access all of your clients' key ones, you're able to move, react, and act on your clients' books in a much more automated and quick manner. So the flip side of our product, beyond these amazing automated connections, and actually before I get into the ad receipt, I'll just show you our list right now. If anyone on this webinar doesn't have this as of yet, I'm actually gonna pop it in the chat so you can actually grab that PDF. It's a live link that I update quite frequently. And so you can actually access this document, and there will be new connections added to it very frequently. We're gonna get our quarterly product update going soon that'll kind of tell you about new connections. But as we can see, we do fetch from many of the major banks and credit cards in market already. We actually just got MX Merchant Services up and running. Scrolling down, what else did we get? We got API Australia if you have any pharmaceutical clients, Landmark and Murray Goulburn Farm if you have any agricultural clients. We did get CSV fetching running for Commonwealth Bank Australia the other day because we know that they did stop personal bank feeds flooding into zero. So we do fetch the transactions with really out involvement of your client, having to ask your client to download those transactional data. And scrolling down, you'll see a number of other connections. The Bunnings Power Pass, we get transactions from the Bunnings portal automatically. Tradies absolutely love that one. They don't have to think about sending receipts from Bunnings to you ever again. Coca-Cola, Fuji Xerox, etc. Scrolling through a number of software vendor connections that we use personally as well: Adobe, PayPal, Stripe, Square, Shopify, Practice Ignition, even Xero. We can fetch your invoices from Xero automatically. Finishing off with our telco and utility connections. So these connections are not only a great benefit to you in terms of getting them immediately, but they're also like a great utility to your clients in that we can kind of aggregate these documents and do a lot of this back office work that they would be having to do manually themselves. So transitioning into the manual side of our product, there are a few different ways to upload documents. One, using the mobile application. Snap a picture of those invoices and receipts. Another, using the email in functionality. And finally, uploading documents directly. So a couple different tips and tricks about these. With regards to the mobile app, we don't, as of yet, have robust user permission permissions. Um, so using the mobile application, it will generally be like a director or co-owner of the business, because if you have access from the mobile application, unfortunately at this point in time you do have access to other sensitive documents like bank and credit card statements. So with regards to the mobile app, it should really be used for a sole proprietor or directors or people that are privy to that type of information. Now, what is a really easy fix for that while we get user permissions up and running, because that is one of our major focuses for the coming year, is the email in functionality. So what I get my staff members to do, because I use Hubdoc and Xero to do the bookkeeping for our company, is they snap pictures of receipts on the road, and they can actually, just as easy as using the mobile app, email in those images from their smartphone. And they do that every day. And they can even snap a bunch of pictures and retroactively email those documents in. So they're actually getting in the exact same manner. This would be a picture that was snapped and emailed in. They're just kind of arriving in, not using the mobile app, so they're not actually seeing other documents within the account. So that's kind of a bit of a best practice there. We are working on user permissions, but in the time being, asking employees to email in documents is definitely the best way to go about it. Now, finally, what I also do quite often is I use the ScanSnap iX100. It's a really wonderful scanner. The iX500 is even more powerful, but they're able to rapidly scan documents in succession into our platform. Now, Fujitsu hasn't yet launched ScanSnap Cloud in Australia. I believe it's coming sometime in the new year, and we are working with them on that. They're partners of ours worldwide, so they're just kind of keeping us up to date on any announcements with regards to that. But even though I can't use ScanSnap Cloud in Australia, I'm actually able to scan directly to my desktop. So I actually have a ScanSnap folder on my desktop that I can scan, documents directly to. And once I scan them into this folder, they actually appear right away. So I can just have that folder open, use my scanner, scan 10 documents in, upload them directly to Hubdoc. And it's actually, in my opinion, works in much the same way and just as easy a way. Additionally, ScanSnaps can scan to email really easily. So if you're scanning in documents on behalf of your clients, that's made extremely easy using the ScanSnap as well. So with regards to that unique email address, you can change it. What you'll see in many of the newly created client accounts is that that email address will be a long, clunky email chain that will auto-generate for you. As you can see, we can actually change the prefix of that email. The suffix will always be at app.hubdoc.com, but changing the prefix is quite easy. As long as no one's used it, you can change it for that document just to make it a little bit easier to remember for your client. Now, obviously, once they use it once, it'll be remembered, but those documents, those email addresses can be changed rather. So let's kind of transition into more the bookkeeping workflows of Hubdoc. And we'll start with like automated accounts. And this is kind of a good place to start. I fetch and file bills from Telstra. Now, Hubdoc creates automation for me by fetching and filing them, by extracting key data, account name, bill date, total amount, and due date. Now, what I want to do from here is actually process this through 2.0 as a transaction. Right? So, for instance, I can see what Hubdoc has extracted. Now, with regards to Telstra, since it doesn't have like a really pretty, I like to call it pretty tax rate, a 10% GST applied to the total, other transactions would be easier. That tax amount isn't right. So all I have to do is toggle over to extracted amount and input 1364. We aren't in this day and age actually extracting that tax number. We will be in the future. But right now, once we do that and click generate, as you can see, the taxable and tax-free portions are created automatically. They're automatically calculated into those taxable and tax-free lines. Now, since I click telephone and internet, that's all good. I just need to select my contact, meaning Telstra, and then click publish. Now, Hubdoc pushes through, creates this transaction here with the supplier name, the date, the due date, the invoice number if that's available, the GST and GST free lines, the taxable amount, and the source document automatically attached. So this has been pushed through as a draft bill. Hubdoc obviously has the ability to push through other document types: purchase, spend money, expense claim, invoice AR, and credit note to zero. Now, I was primarily just showing you that to show you not only the GST split functionality, but just at a baseline our ability to create transactions in Xero to automate your reconciliation process. When I approve this document in Xero, it's going to obviously automatically find a match on the bank feed, right? The value there is, the GST that's been pulled out is absolutely correct because you have the source document, you've double checked it here before publishing, and the source document's attached in Xero so that your client's books are audit proof. Now, when I handle my kind of bookkeeping workflow from Hubdoc to Xero, I generally code and push documents either as spend money transactions or as authorized purchases. And the way my workflow works is I actually start on my bank feed. So I would actually see all these new documents in Hubdoc, right? I would actually come from all documents in the all tab, and that gives me a very quick look at where my documents are and what's new, right? But what I would actually go to is go into my bank feed in Hubdoc and see, okay, there's a number of documents. As you can see, I'm very behind on my own bookkeeping, my own accounts. My Hubdoc, my real accounts is looking far better than this. But, in looking at this, we can actually see, okay, these are documents that haven't been, or transactions that haven't been reconciled yet. I then go back to Hubdoc and push and process documents through. So I'd start in all documents. I'd see anything that's new in the last 2 weeks. I can see a number of documents in the review tab. So I'm going to click into review to see what's there. So the review tab, as much as those triangle icons might seem sort of scary with that triangle icon, the review tab is just to let you know that, hey, these documents have been recently extracted and you need to review that information before processing through. Anything with that triangle needs to be processed through to Xero as a transaction. Alternatively, I can actually not even process a document. There might be an instance where your client uploads a historical document that's already been reconciled. Perhaps they upload a document that's not even transactional. Maybe that document is a report or a statement. And I can actually manually archive this in Hubdoc. So I click that. That actually gets the check mark on it. It's now archived and has the check mark on it. I don't let documents get the check mark on it unless I've dealt with it. That's my workflow. I don't let, if I publish a document, it is going directly to the bank feed. I don't think there's a need to double check, in Xero if I've already double checked it here in Hubdoc. That's kind of the workflow that works for me. I think that with software in this day and age, humans are required to do checks and balances on documents. Looks like my internet's not working so well at the moment. Humans are required to do checks and balances on documents, right? Because technology isn't perfect as of yet. But in my mind, either you're reviewing it in Xero or you're reviewing it in Hubdoc. My workflow is to see that transaction in the bank feed, review it in Hubdoc, make sure that the GST is split right, make sure that it's coded to my liking, and then once I click publish, all I'm doing in Xero is clicking OK to reconcile that transaction against the bank feed. So that's my workflow. It really does work well for me. It allows me to quickly run and process through transactions on a week-to-week basis. I think that workflow really works for me because I do come into the account a few times a week. I think if you're using us as a document processing tool, you should be expecting to check your client accounts a few times a week. Even if it's only for 15 to 20 minutes, you can actually quite quickly process a number of documents through in that time. As and you can really kind of automate that work. Now, another kind of key tip that I'll show you is account level configuration. So this would actually be a way to sort of automate your work beforehand. So for instance, I set up Apple. Not only can I set up the folder, but I can actually set up rules to push to Xero. So even before my client uploads a receipt from Apple, I could actually create it as a vendor or a supplier. I just find it funny that it has Starbucks there because we don't drink Starbucks in Australia, do we? But for instance, I could actually pre-create that vendor and pre-code it so that when Hubdoc recognize that supplier name, we'd pre-populate these rules: GST 10%, computer equipment, contact is Apple, even tracking glasses. So these actually pre-populate those rules. It does save you a bit of time. I would say that when you configure a document at a document level before publishing, if save configuration is selected, we will save those rules anyways. But this is a way to kind of populate those fields beforehand. I'm really sorry about my internet, everybody. This is kind of embarrassing. Pre-populate those rules beforehand to really automate your work before even a document gets uploaded. Because once those documents are uploaded, you just really have to click publish to publish through to Xero as transactions. Now, is the final thing to discuss. Well, looks like I'm really toast here. Just to kind of talk through the last part of the demo if that's not gonna start working for me, or no. Is adding client accounts. So Hubdoc is obviously a tool that helps automate your work as an accountant or bookkeeper, but it also very much provides a tangible value to your client base, and so generally what happens is advisors use the client's email when adding them as a client. They do that because the client engages with the product. Not only the client uses it as their cloud-based filing cabinet to access documents, but they'll also be snapping pictures and using the mobile application to get documents in. So in that sense, it is it's beneficial to use the client's email on sign up. I guess secondly is if you don't have the logins for your client, they're going to want to come in and set up their feeds, right? You might not want the liability of knowing client logins. So in that sense, if you add them in the add a client account section, if you input their email, they actually get an invite and they're able to get started and create their own password and set up their feeds. And really, those feeds are just such a value to them, right? It's saying anything that you set up in Hubdoc, you'll never have to ask me for a client ever again. Now, a couple other tips about adding clients and our billing, structure and recurring billing is if you added a client today, November 8th, the 8th day of every month becomes your bill date. So that's when you get charged, on the 8th day of every month. Now, during your first month, we actually only charge you for one client account. A little bit of a tip. We only charge you the $27.50 for that first client account. Now, you get charged again on the 8th day of the following month. So on December 8th, I'd be charged again. But I'd only be charged for the amount of accounts I have on that day. So in saying that, you can actually be smart about when you add clients. If I, in the future, added all my clients on the 9th day of every month, I could actually have upwards of 30 days to trial Hubdoc, before downgrading them without actually being charged for those accounts. So, it's kind of a good tip in terms of figuring out if Hubdoc is a fit for clients and, helping them get started and up and running before really having to actually pay for their account, right? You'll have 30 days to make sure you're seeing value in it before kind of paying for that account on that 8th day of the following month. Hope that made sense to everyone. If you don't have this pricing structure either, you can feel free to give one of us a shout. But if you had a demo, you should have it in your follow-up email. Now, a couple other things about this organization screen. The Manage Users button is used for you and your staff. So once you enter a staff's email here, click Add New User, a couple things happen. They'll get their own Hubdoc account. But generally, those are used just for toggling into clients because the idea being you can give them access to certain subsets of your client base. If you have advisors or colleagues, bookkeepers maybe, that maybe only work on clients' files once a month. Maybe they work on, do some quarterly BAS lodging work, but don't need access to the account besides them because someone else handles the reconciliation work. You can just give them access for that week and then revoke access to that account afterwards. So you, the admin, kind of have that capability. Now coming back here to organizations, docs to review is pretty self-explanatory. Staff is relatively explanatory too. It shows you which staff have access to which account. And status is another thing that's interesting. So the cloud icon indicates if a cloud accounting integration or downstream integration in general has been disconnected from. So these are your Google Drives, your Dropboxes of the world. You might have done that manually, but we do want to let we do want to let you know. Sorry about that. It's some other things clank in the background. We do want to do show you that just in case that wasn't done on purpose, so that what's been disconnected from. Now the triangle icon is also useful. The triangle icon indicates something that we've had trouble logging into. So if logins have changed, not only do we ping your client if they've changed their logins and haven't updated them on Hubdoc, we'll let you know at that account level so that you can remind your client, oh, shoot, your Officeworks connection is not working and you need to fix your password because you've obviously updated it and haven't updated it on Hubdoc. So we actually ping them, but also let you know so that you can maybe remind your client to update that information. Perfect. So that is bringing me to the end of the webinar here. I will show you one last feature, and that's just our ability to publish documents downstream to cloud storage platforms. And I can actually do this at any point in time. So common misconception here, you don't need to actually set that up when you create the account. I could actually be using an account for quite a while, and then I could actually set up that feed to Dropbox, for instance, as I just showed you. Click Accounts, click Destinations, click Connect to Dropbox. You're going to log into your Dropbox account, indicate the Dropbox ID, and then indicate whether you want all Hubdoc documents in one folder or our folder structure copied. So once I've done that, that's kind of your first step. Your second step is doing a historical push. Click all documents, click push to Dropbox. That actually historically pushes all the folders and all the documents within them to Dropbox. It's called a historical push. So that allows you to get everything that's in Hubdoc downstream to Dropbox. It is a great way to back up documents. Perhaps in the new year you wanted to start afresh and just back up documents to Dropbox or Google Drive. You can easily do that with that connection. Now, the second thing you might want to do is to make sure the documents get copied there automatically. So if you click this checkbox above Dropbox for either automated accounts or manual accounts, those documents will immediately arrive in Dropbox automatically without you having to manually publish them that first time. So that's certainly an option as well to create automation around automatically backing up documents. The final way to back up documents is just to download locally. If you click this triangle once again on the All Documents folder, click Download All Files. That downloads all those files and folders in PDF format locally to your computer so that you can back up documents there as well. So once again, it's kind of bringing me to the end of the webinar. Didn't have many questions today, but that's okay. If you do have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to respond to my follow-up email I'll send you with the webinar recording. And you know what? Please let us know if there's any way we can improve this. At the end of the day, it is for you and your kind of development and learning of Hubdoc as a product. And we look forward to speaking with you all very soon. So thanks so much, everyone, and hope you have an awesome afternoon.